This will be a good one.
It'll be a good one.
Definitely a different type of process.
Cut down or freeze up.
Being a coach's son.
Jackson, of course, they keep retooling. One stolen base, a hit by pitch. Oh my goodness. Hello, everyone. Welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for this edition of YBMcast Baseball Talk, Missouri. We've got some fun stuff for you today, powered by Game 7 Baseball, game7baseball.com. Make sure you check them out. Got some good tournaments coming up. World Series is right around the corner. And we've got some good things happening with Game 7 Baseball. We had a great tournament with our 14U. We're going to look to expand that as it comes up and have some more fun. So we got some cool stuff coming up for you with Game 7 Baseball. Make sure you check out. We also have the Firecracker NIT right behind the World Series. It'll be our last one of the year with Game 7 Baseball. So we're looking forward to finish off the season with a flurry. So make sure you're following Game 7 Baseball on their socials. Follow Youth Baseball Midwest. On X, you can follow us at uppercase YBM _ lowercase cast. And on IG and Facebook at Youth Baseball Midwest. Joining us on the show, the guru himself, Mr. Kevin Moulder. Kevin, how are you, buddy?
I am doing well. Sorry I was a minute late. I was attending to a couple matters. So.
You have to take care of your business, bro.
Yeah, a lot of fires burning. So
that doesn't sound good, man. Fires are not good usually.
They were figurative fires.
Okay, good.
Phone calls. So it was all good.
We're hoping that we can get Coach Ben Bear on this morning. We'd sent him out. We'd talked to him. He might be not able to make it. Hopefully he'll pop in here. We're going to keep trying to get him on the show. But we're going to review some state championships from this past week. You know what, Drew? Can you do me a favor, bro? Can you hand me my pages over there? I left them way over there. Yeah, that's it. Thank you, sir. As I normally do, leave them somewhere else. But it was a very good week. Starting off, I think these are cool. I do think this is cool what Misha does. And you have all the statistics for the year. You have a lot of information from the year. And, Kevin, we talked about this, and I don't know if people could hear me with that up in front of my face and covering up the microphone. But, you do what you can. But we talked about Oran and St. Elizabeth, and they squared off in the semifinal. I got to watch that game. I watched it on Misha.tv. Because I wanted to see these two teams, and it didn't disappoint. Wheatland had a great record this year. Wheatland, I believe. Yeah, Wheatland was 33-5 on the season. Oran was 21-1. Faith Christian Academy from up around Kansas City, I think it was it's District 15, 25-3. And you know what's interesting about Faith Christian Academy? I think it's only like 5 years old, the school.
Wow.
I've found this out because I stumbled onto Northland Christian Academy, which I think I believe is only 3 years old, and got to meet Coach Dave Starnes from there, and they had won a district title. These two are in the same district and are battling each other out. Of course, private schools. It'll be interesting to see, championship points as those things go along and how that all plays out. But it's unusual to see these types of schools, in this, private or not, having this much success this early. Correct?
Yeah, no, we've seen North Point get off to a good start. This, was I believe the first year of their first full class, where meaning the seniors that just graduated were there as true freshmen, not transferred in. So, it can certainly happen. I'd be at line if I knew the dynamics of starting up a private school and how quickly they would grow, but I would assure, as they get more established, that it'll only grow, you would think.
Exactly. And
St. Dominic's would be an example of that in the St. Charles area. That school has kind of exploded, and they certainly have grown and become a stronger baseball program over the last couple of years to the point where they're, one of the top Class 5 teams in the state. They didn't make the Final Four this year, but they were in that mix, right? They were, a top 10 type team in Class 5.
But St. Dominic's been around a while too, right?
It has, but the point was it was just expanding. It's growing.
I gotcha.
It is a larger school now than it was 10 years ago.
Most assuredly, because you didn't hear about it much. It wasn't in the same breath as maybe even Duchesne, who's a smaller school, right?
Right.
So Oran and St. Elizabeth beat each other up, and then St. Elizabeth went ahead and won the title again. I think it's like their 5th since 2018 or some crazy number like that. My goodness, that's a juggernaut of a baseball team program. And, here's the thing. It's a small public school. And they just get it done, Kevin.
They have, yeah. No surprise, St. Elizabeth and Oran, they're in the Final Four, and then Oran took care of business in a big way in the third place game. So it was, kind of had the state championship game in that semifinal matchup. So I'm glad those two teams got to match up, and that was a really good ball game, a 1-run game, and they both, handled the next game pretty convincingly. So. Fun to watch and observe, and both Oran and St. Elizabeth had a great year, and as did Faith Christian in Wheatland as well. Congrats to those teams.
Absolutely. This is St. Elizabeth's 4th title since 2019. They finished second to I believe it was Oran in 2018, and it's their 9th district title in a row. I don't care. That's impressive numbers, man. I don't care how big, small you are. You can win like that. You're doing something right. In Class 2, Miller. And I'll be honest, Kevin, I have nothing know anything about Miller. I believe they're up in the Kansas City area, if I'm not correct, or if I'm not mistaken. Is that right? Or do you know?
No, Miller is like within 40 minutes of Springfield.
Okay.
Yes.
So Southwest.
Yes.
I'm not.
Yeah, and they have one of the top pitchers in the state, Chase Wilkerson, left-handed pitcher, and he had a dominant outing in the semifinal game. It was like 86-90. Kind of led them to the state championship game, and then they took care of business from there.
They sure did. They faced off against Eugene in the title game. Eugene was 24-8. Chaffee from down in southeast Missouri, 23-3 on the season. I believe they ended up taking 4th. I think Tipton took 3rd place, if I'm not mistaken. We're going to get a look because it's easy to do. Boom, state tournaments, boom. There you go. Class 2. Oh, sorry. Chaffee took 3rd place, 4-3 over Tipton. And as Miller beat Eugene 7-1. These are some of the schools I'm hoping. Now, this is where it gets difficult. You know this as well as I do. It was a challenge just to take on Class 4 this year. with the amount of teams that are in Class 4 and depth in Class 4. To me, trying the challenge of getting down into 1, 2, and 3 is a bit immense. I don't know if I would sleep much.
Well, yeah, we were talking to Misha director. There's over 400 baseball programs in the state of Missouri. So it does get hard and nearly impossible to know the ins and outs of every single team. Obviously, personally, I focus a lot on the Class 4, 5, and 6. But then there are teams like Oran that has some really high-end players, or St. Elizabeth, Eli Kemna, Oran, Ryland Mills. So you'll see standouts at some of the smaller schools. So I'll be familiar with some of those teams, but you don't get a chance to see some of the smaller town teams that don't have the star player until you get to the state tournament.
Absolutely. I think it's interesting looking at some of these, the way they do the stats. I really like it. Chaffee had a team ERA of 1.44, and Chaffee's not a school that is, they're playing Bell City. You got East Prairie on there, Bernie, Oran. They've played Scott City, Portageville. So you're talking about very good small school teams in that area. Chaffee is playing a tough schedule down there. And I think it's pretty impressive putting up a 1.44 team ERA, Kevin.
Absolutely. A lot of the small school stuff is geographical, and there are a lot of the really good small schools come out of that southeast part of the state. Valley Catholic had a great year. They got upset, but they were one of the teams that, at one point this year, I think they were like 22-1. So we do see a lot of the top small schools come out of that southeast region.
And that's the thing. It was Chaffee who beat Valley Catholic in the first round, in the sectional round of Class 2. So that was no small feat. I thought we'd talked about it. I thought it was going to be very tough to take down Valley Catholic, and Chaffee did it in the first round. And showing, go ahead.
No, that's right. And you mean, out of the sectional round. So they get through districts, and then at that class, there's sectionals and then quarterfinals at the 1, 2, and 3, 4 levels.
Correct. And Valley Catholic didn't score a run, which shows the 1.44, the ERA is real there. You hold down a Valley Catholic to no runs. That's an impressive pitching staff.
Absolutely.
And then they turn around and shut out Bernie, who had a very good year, the Bernie Mules. Who doesn't like that name? The name of the city is Bernie, and then your mascot is Mules. That just works, man, in Missouri, I'll tell you.
I am partial to the Mules, being a former Central Missouri guy. So we're on board with the Mule mascot.
Van Buren, one of Brady Smith down there, with that Van Buren team, the Bulldogs, they lost to Bernie there, which, that's a young man that is definitely going to be somebody to watch over the next few years, is he not?
Yeah, he was at the Missouri State games yesterday and threw extremely well. I'm guessing he didn't pitch that game. He was 88-90 the other yesterday, and slider up to 83 miles per hour, which is a huge deal. Usually, high school breaking balls, you see typical high school breaking ball is in the 70s, sometimes even the 60s. When you start seeing high school breaking balls in the 80 mile per hour range, that is big time. That's where you want it to be. That's where the major college guys are throwing it, even professional baseball. Now, some of those guys will get into the mid to upper 80s with their breaking balls. But for a high school kid to be able to throw a slider at 83 into the low 80s consistently, that's called a swing and miss, a true swing and miss pitch.
He's one of a couple kids that you've talked about. The other from Lone Jack, the Class 3 school, Ethan Rogers, going to Wichita State. And uh, Brady Smith here. These two guys in these smaller schools, that's a significant thing. That shows you a level of talent just, that pops up in these smaller schools. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, we talk about that, how, there can be a pitcher or a player at one of the small schools that could play for anybody and be a star for even a Blue Springs South or a Staley or a Francis Howell, Zumwalt West, Nixa, whoever your big school pick is. The deal is the depth behind those guys. And usually it's one and maybe an okay guy. And then by the time you get to guy 7, you're really far down the list. Whereas we just saw that at the state tournament, Blue Springs South and Staley in the championship game, or their fifth arm of the finals. They're bringing in kids that are throwing 92 miles. They were both throwing 92 miles per hour. So that is serious depth, and that's what you need to win at the Class 6 level.
Absolutely. Class 3 consisted of the Portageville Bulldogs, Fairgrove Eagles, Holden Eagles, and the Fatima Comets. With the Fatima Comets taking the championship game. That was a heck of a good championship game, that Class 3. We got to see some of that. Fairgrove and Fatima, they were duking it out. It was a 2-0 win for Fatima, the Comets. And here again, Kevin, as you like to point out, here's a team, Fatima, that was 18-13, playing Capital City, Boonville, Elias Catholic, Fulton, Springfield Catholic, Logan-Rogersville, St. Francis Borgia, St. Elizabeth, Lee Summit, Pembroke Hill, Southern Boone, Eldon, Father Tolton Regional Catholic, Camdenton twice, Eugene, Lynn, Licking, Blair Oaks. They got 18 wins out of that. That's why when you look at that, to me, when you see those things, they were a favorite to win the state championship. That is a gauntlet of a schedule for a Class 3 school.
Absolutely, and clearly paid dividends. I came away really impressed with Blake Cleathermos and Logan Cleathermos, kind of both leading the charge on the mound. If you have a good 1-2, as they did, that can carry you to a state championship.
And it sure did. I mean, they took care of business in the semifinal 12-3 over Holden. The bats got going. Fairgrove was a good opponent. They beat Portageville 3-0. And I thought Portageville had a good run. Valley Park beat West County, which I thought West County might be the team to get through that, even over Valley Park. But that bracket right there in the top of this, the top side of this bracket with Portageville, Greenville, West County, Valley Park, Licking, Fairgrove, Clever, and Lamar, that was a brutal top half of a bracket. It was
a gauntlet. Yes. Right. Yes.
And, you had to do something. I think the lower side still, it was good. You had Macon and North Callaway, Lone Jack, who was upset by Holden, which everybody was surprised about that. I don't know if Rogers pitched in that game or not.
I do not know, and that's the thing. I would imagine not. Just knowing the how the format lays out, you don't know. Right. That's the tricky thing about the small school is you play a sectional game, then a quarterfinal game. With the larger school, you're playing 2 out of 3 versus the same school. So it's kind of more equal footing with your pitching. Everyone's going to, you could throw off, but it's all the same team, as opposed to one team might get a number 1, the other team might get their second best guy. You don't see that anymore at the larger schools. The smaller schools, that stuff certainly happens.
Absolutely. And, coaches make decisions. It's, you can say,
which is fair game. It's just part of the deal. Yeah, it's part of the deal. There's nothing wrong with it at all.
No. And they had some guys.
That's the cat and mouse.
Yeah, they had a couple guys after Ethan Rogersville that were very good on the mound for them as well for Lone Jack, correct?
Absolutely, and this was, I mean, to be real honest, this is kind of the year of favorites getting upset, especially top classes. I don't know if that's necessarily true with the smaller schools. St. Elizabeth's, that's a heavy hitter at that level. But with the rest of the classes, I think it's fair to say those were underdogs. They were not the heavy favorites.
Exactly.
Which is, which makes our sport great.
It does. I think it makes it very interesting for those lower classes. But congratulations to Fatima the Comets for their championship win. And also Class 4 was played in that mix. Again, they have the sectional in that. You got Sullivan, Logan-Rogersville, Father Tolton, and Chillicothe all making it to the Final Four, which, the one, and we remarked about this, the one that was very interesting to me was Tolton. Not only did they have a brutal district they had to get out of, but then they played Moberly, they played MICDS, and then, Chillicothe. They beat Fulton in the district title game, then Moberly, and then MICDS. That was probably one of the toughest roads to the Final Four that I've seen in a long time in Class 4, Kevin.
Yeah, we had talked about that for a lot of the season, how strong Class 4 was top to bottom. There was a lot of depth there, and it certainly didn't disappoint. And I'm going to make a comment on Chillicothe. That was one of the more fun teams to watch at the state tournament. Not necessarily from they got a ton of talent, but I believe they had a 14-man roster, small town team, all the kids pulling for one another, a lot of guys that were helping out on the mound, playing multiple, it was just they're 14 guys. This is who we are. This is our town's team. Really just a throwback team in a fun group. So it was great that they won the championship. Certainly wasn't, rooting against any of the other teams, but I did thoroughly enjoy watching that Chillicothe team win, and in a very cool story to see them win state.
And they were barreling some baseballs.
Yeah, those dudes could hit.
Man, I'll tell you, it was fun. We got a chance.
And another quick note, I thought Logan-Rogersville kind of arrived a year early. They're going to be one to know moving forward. That will not be the last time we see that group. There are a ton of young talent on that Rogersville team. So we'll see those guys again. A lot of freshmen and sophomores as major contributors on that ball club. So we'll see them again over the next couple of years.
Absolutely. Sullivan, Drake Gower, his didn't have the outing he wanted. I thought Sullivan played very tight in that semifinal game, Kevin.
Yeah, and credit to Logan-Rogersville. They had the hometown fans behind them in that one. It was one of the nicer turnouts of the week in the state tournament.
Yeah.
And Drake, who I saw the week before, was down a tick or two from what he had been, and could be a case where, just kind of got to the end of the line there for him. But great season for Sullivan. Watched one of the more entertaining games of the season, watching them beat Lutheran South in the sectional game to get to the state championship. So great run by them, getting to the Final Four.
Absolutely. And a big shout out to Lucas Parsons, who threw a complete game shutout over Father Tolton in the third place game. It was an impressive pitching performance against a very good hitting team. I know third place people go, and I'm going to say this right here. I'm going to do it. I hope in the future I've seen a lot, and I think sportsmanship is misunderstood a lot in baseball. So this is my PSA. I have solutions to this. I don't gripe about things. I want to talk about how we create better opportunities. I saw this happen too much where in the presentations of the medals and the things, tip your cap to your, I know you shouldn't like losing, right? I don't want somebody on my team that likes to lose. Nobody, as a coach, you don't want that. I understand it hurts, but this is just a game. In the end, it's just a game. It's not life. It's a game. Respect your opponent. They beat you today. That doesn't mean they're necessarily better than you. I'll grant people that. But clap for your opponent. They beat you that day. They were better than you that day. Respect your opponent. You don't have to like it. You don't have to like it. And I'm glad you don't like losing. But respect your opponent. Tip your cap to your opponent and show the respect to the game that it deserves. And I will say that across the board. I saw too much of that this weekend or this past week in some trophy ceremonies. And I just would encourage coaches to make sure that we talk about these things. We talk about these things to kids. We don't get too far afield with this. That's what sportsmanship is. Just because you don't like, you feel bad. I get it. I don't like to lose. You don't like to lose, Kevin. I'm sure you're a competitor too. That's what we compete for. But understand at the end of it, those are people too. These are people that are working hard against you. Respect. They made one more play than you. Clap. Show the respect and go and get better. That's all you can do. And so that's my thoughts on that. But Class 4, shout out Coach Troy Figg from Chillicothe. I really enjoyed meeting him. Older gentleman. There was a story in that. He was talking to us over there after the game, and his mother was in a nursing home, and she told him before they left for the state championship, I want to see the trophy. And she said, I don't care if it's 1, 2, 3, or 4. I want to see it. And it was such a great moment right there. And, I still feel that, the chill bumps of that, because it was so emotional to him and, the kids and everything. I love that about sports sometimes, Kevin, right? Those stories right there.
Oh, that's really cool. The great little piece there.
Absolutely. So big shout out to Coach Figg. I hope you took that first place trophy to see Mom. I know you did, and I'm sure she enjoyed that. That's a cool story right there. So congratulations, Chillicothe. I think we're going to see some good opportunities in the future. Class 5, Kevin, some notables. This one was a surprise. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say a surprise because I said it, you can't discount. I thought Platte County was really good going into this. I said, you can't count them out. I thought it was going to be a close game, but I didn't see this coming. I really didn't. And if anybody did, they're mistaken. We had Vianney, Marshfield, Rockwood Summit, and Platte County in the Final Four. The best 2 out of 3 was a lot of fun. The best one being, and here's the thing, Webb City. I mean, that was the best 2 out of 3 for series of Class 5. It went all 3 games. First and third game were both extra inning games. They were just a grind out battle.
And that was the only 1 out of 5 or 6 that went 3 games, and that one went, overtime. Extra innings of the 3 game series. So, what a great series! And yeah, Platte. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Platte was one of the teams that we identified as a team that could contend or top Vianney, but Vianney was certainly the heavy favorite in Class 5, and unbelievable amount of talent. Great season for Vianney, and really just had one bad inning. Just kind of fell apart for him there. There in the middle innings, I believe it was the fourth inning, and gave up 10 runs in one inning and couldn't stop a fire. And that doesn't take away from the great season and the great players at Vianney, but it does say a lot about Platt, who showed a lot of toughness just to get to the Final Four, winning that best out of three versus Webb City, and then taking down Rockwood Summit, and then knocking off Vianney, the heavy favorite. And they did in an interesting fashion. They used the same pitchers in both games, with Brennan McLaughlin starting both games, only kind of using them as an opener, and then Evan Magnuson, the sophomore, 6'4" sophomore, was kind of the big story for them. Pitched multiple innings against Summit, and then through the final 4 innings of the championship game. So I believe that makes him the winning pitcher in both of those games, going 2-0 at the state tournament as sophomore.
You would be absolutely correct in that. 4 innings, his line, 5 hits, 2 earned runs. I love this stat. This is becoming more and more something it immediately drawn to me. He only struck out 1, but he walked 0 in that championship game, Kevin.
Yeah, pitching to contact, Platt had a good defense, and he was filling up the strike zone. And then when you're staked to a nice lead like that, that's your job, is no free bases, and that kind of got the best of Vianney, honestly, in that inning, with the hit batters, walks, errors that happened to him in that inning. And Platt just took care of the baseball, quite honestly.
Andrew Edsel had a home run in that was in the semifinal. Andrew Edsel had a home run in the semifinal, which I believe, and everybody knows, it's a big ballpark. We don't see a lot. There was a little bit of wind blowing out, but hey, you get it up there and ride it out. You hit it out of that park. Kudos to you. You tip the hat. I don't care.
There are no cheap home runs in that park. I don't care how hard the wind is blowing. We've only seen a handful of them, and all of them have been by maybe gone on that are playing high-level collegiate baseball. So, for my money, that doesn't even need to be mentioned. That he hit a home run at the state tournament in the biggest field that any high school team plays on in Missouri.
And that was in the semifinals. Edsel hit that home run. Platte County jumped out on Rockwood Summit in the first 2 innings. It was a 4-0 lead. And as you said, McLaughlin 2 innings, Magnuson 2 innings, and then Hall. I'm trying to look for Brooks Hall, a 6'5" junior, finished it out. 3 innings, 2 hits, 1 run. It was unearned, and 2 Ks. And so the pitching staff really did a great job for this team. Up and down the lineup, Dayton Dahl was really good at the top of the order, along with Blacklock, McLaughlin. Rocco Marriott had a good tournament as well. Up and down the lineup, it was just a very tough team to beat, Kevin.
Absolutely. A lot of McLaughlin's kind of the star of that team, infield home run, hitting right there in the middle of the lineup. But great team. Rocco Marriott, going to be he was a junior this year, but that was his final year of high school baseball. He's committed to play quarterback at James Madison University. He patrolled center field and hit 4th for that team. So, great run by them, and congrats.
In his last game, Rocco Marriott was 3 for 4 with 2 runs scored, an RBI. So he went out kind of on a big high there for himself. Congratulations, young man.
Way to go out.
Absolutely. Brennan McLaughlin story. He hit a home run in the championship game. This was just a great effort. It was uncharacteristic in my opinion, we didn't see it a lot. There was one game that this happened, and it happened in the 2 losses. Westminster beat this team later in the season. I think it was like a 14-5 game and I was surprised when that number came up that Westminster beat him. And then here, those 10 runs in the 4th inning, it just like they couldn't stop that avalanche. And that was the only 2 losses, and it was those 2 bad innings. And it's I feel bad for the kids, but it's the game, it's what happens, and it was just in a bad moment.
It is, and this has nothing to do with this results or taken away from anyone. It does kind of, it's a tough format in Missouri, and quite honestly, I don't love it. But it's everyone's playing the same game. I wish it moved to a double elimination format at the state tournament. It would cause for either 2 different sites to be used, or to split the small schools and the large schools up into 2 separate weekends. Tournament elimination does take extra days and time. And again, this does not discredit anyone's championships or what. This is how we're playing, but I would like to see that format changed. A lot of the southern states play in that type of format, and baseball is a different type sport than basketball and football that, in my opinion, is a double elimination format, is how you determine a true champion, in my opinion.
Yeah. Congratulations to Coach Schneider and Rockwood Summit for the 3rd place finish, beating Marshfield in that championship there.
They ran into a hot pitcher, not even a hot pitcher, just a really good pitcher in game 1, and J.D. Dorman he had one of the true top performances during the state championship week. And so Rockwood Summit fell victim to that, but then bounced back with a really nice 3rd place game, and glad to see them cap a good year by capturing that 3rd place finish.
Absolutely. They got a lot of good, that's a young squad over there at Summit too. They do have some seniors that are leaving, but Caden Dingus, Grant Dingus, who's a freshman, Mickey Plemons, you got Jacob Lorkin, Wyatt Schneider's just a junior. They got some nice pieces. I think they'll be just fine next year. What do you think?
They will. They lose a little bit of pitching. Losing Cam Mosier will be a set. But, yeah, they have some really nice pieces there in that lineup, led by Wyatt Schneider. So they will be highly competitive again next year, I would imagine.
And then Class 6, the big boys got there. I thought Staley was going to take this, Kevin. I really did. No offense. I was really enjoying it. I was hopeful for Zumwalt West because I would have loved to have seen Coach Goff go out with the championship there just as a sentimental thing. Not that because I try not to root for, but I mean, it was just one of those things. It would have been a cool story. And they had the team to do it. That's why they were there.
Absolutely. They had a great team. And another one where I would was a surprise, a shocker. Staley, had an unbelievable season. Finishing the year 38 and going into the tournament 37-3. They were different than the other teams in the state from a talent standpoint. They were talent, the top of the state, and like Vianney fell victim to a hitting. They gave up an 8 spot. Blue Springs South, what a fun team, super resilient. They were down. They had the backs up against the wall. It honestly looked like Staley was going to kind of win a pretty boring game. They kind of had them in a stranglehold. They had a nice lead on them, and then Blue Springs South gets the 8 spot in one inning, and Staley couldn't recover.
Yeah,
with the big inning. Cooper Callahan had an outstanding Final Four. Shortstop for Blue Springs South, played tremendous defense and did a great job offensively at the top of the lineup. And then Graydon Sufferling out of the bullpen. Wow, that was an electric performance. He did not throw a fastball below 91 miles per hour in the final inning with an 81 mile per hour slider and shut Staley down at the very end there. So a lot of fun. Both teams kind of emptied the barrel there at the end. Kyle Piercy for Staley came in out of their bullpen to end the 8-run inning for Blue Springs South on the mound for Staley, and was also 90-92. So a lot of fun there that last 2 innings, both teams throwing haymakers, and just a great game, quite honestly.
4 guys that kind of stood out, Kevin, for me. Ashton Nance, he pitched into the 6th inning. He went 5 1/3, 3 earned. There was 4 runs scored, 4 Ks, 2 base on balls. He did what he needed to do against Parkway South in big moments. He made big pitches that stopped big runs for Parkway South. Wyatt Denny was 4 for 6 in both. This is combined. He was 4 for 6 on the weekend. 4 runs scored, an RBI. Spencer Studerman, the catcher, 3 for 7, 3 RBIs. And when you're talking about Suferling, not only did he did it 2 innings pitched that last one, 2 hits, 3 Ks in those 2 innings. He was also 3 for 6 with a run scored and 3 RBIs.
Yeah, and I thought Ashton Nance showed a lot of veteran leadership there because Parkway South came out and threw the first couple punches, and they had him in a tough spot. And Nance, to his credit, put together a good outing. Kind of weathered the storm and stayed cool and pitched deep into that semifinal game, which was a huge boost for Parkway South and helped them even the next day, just management of the bullpen and whatnot.
Folks, Blue Springs South was down 4-1 in the through 4 innings against Parkway South. Scored 3 in the 5th, 2 in the 6th, 1 in the 7th for a 7-4 win. They were down 6-0 in the bottom of the 5th inning against Staley. And as you said, Kevin, you're kind of like, well, this is over. Staley's pitching has been that good all year. We've remarked about that. And it was just like, boom, it blew up. And you're like, how did they just score 8 runs?
It happened quick. It was eerily similar to the Platte County Vianney game. It was interesting how both, heavy favorites and then 1 inning just got away from them. And that was an exciting state championship game. I will say that in credit to Staley. What an incredible year. What an incredible team. They also have a relatively young group. Now, they lose a lot. Brody Earlbeck's obviously leaving, and that was the performance of the state championship week, in my opinion, on the mound. That was a wow. Start by Earlbeck, 90-94 with a really good breaking ball. Didn't get a complete game. I think it was 6 2/3, and then had to come out to do the pitch count. But what a dominant effort by him in the semifinal game to top Zumwalt West, who was competitive, who was very competitive. But unfortunate for Zumwalt West that they had to run into that. Because that was a good Zumwalt West lineup. I thought they did as good of a job as you could probably do on Earlbeck, but he was just that good.
That was, in my opinion, that West Staley game. Nothing against Blue Springs South or anything like that, but I think that was one of the best games of the week, was that West Staley game. It was clean. You had 2 big-time teams going at each other, and I thought it was probably one of the cleanest games we saw all week. I thought there was a lot of errors in the championship overall this week, Kevin. You saw I saw some teams with some uncharacteristic mistakes, throughout the week. That was just my viewpoint of that.
He had a couple meltdown innings, and really just the two big ones specifically that it was uncharacteristic, like you said, and that kind of spun away from those teams, and unfortunately for them, cost them.
Absolutely. And I want to give another shout out, Coach Goff. Wish him all the success, in his post coaching career. I know he's probably going to be teaching a little bit longer. I know he's getting ready to retire as a teacher as well, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe he just comes, we've been talking about it. Come on over, man. Come on, coach.
There you go. No question, a great year and a great, getting to the state championship in itself, the Final Four is a great season, and one loss doesn't take that away from that. And also, just credit to Parkway South making the run they did. I thought Matt Brown did one of the best coaching jobs of the season, getting that group to the third place finish there. So outstanding season by South, and they got a young team. They think they're going to be better next year, and I tend to agree with them. They had a freshman in that lineup starting for them as well. So this will be they will be a tough one for years to come.
Absolutely. We'll get in our we'll have our not too early for 2026 rankings here for too long.
Oh boy.
I'm kidding. Oh man, I love that stuff. That's fun. But yeah, Parkway South, it's the first time, it's only the second time I've really had an opportunity to talk a little bit with Coach Brown. I did a little bit last year. He is one of the young coaches that I think is going to be, I think it's going to make Parkway South again, that kind of perennial, they get talent. They get kids in that school that have talent. I felt bad that Luke Sullivan kind of missed out a little bit there. That was tough for him with the injury, but wish him all the success as well. But Parkway South, man, yeah, I liked what I saw. And they took advantage. I think West was still kind of reeling a little bit emotionally from that loss. I think they felt that with their coach and whatnot. And by the time they got going, it was just a little bit too late for them in that third place game.
Yeah.
So kudos to all the teams. It was a fun week. What are your takeaways, Kevin? What's some of the things that stood out to you from your time down there in Springfield?
I thought it was a great week. And I thought Misha did a good job managing the weather this year. And learned from miscues from the year before, so credit to them. That isn't an easy tournament to manage, and when you got that many teams, and you got the schedule and the hotels and the travel, and you're trying to play 4 games a day, inevitably you're going to get into some weather situations. So there's going to be some tough moments. I thought it was handled really well this year. I thought they did a great job putting that on. I am excited about that venue. Talked to Coach Randy Merriman down there a little bit. I think what will greatly improve this experience when they get those other 2 fields complete, this is going to be a great venue for the state tournament because you can have practice field, run in there. There'll be an option to possibly move a third place game to one of the backfields. To keep things from teams having to play at midnight, or to keep administrators from having to make tough decisions about whether do we start a game knowing it's going to rain 30 minutes from now and we burn pitchers, or do we keep playing through this? It's really an impossible equation to kind of solve. But if they have a couple other fields which are in the works, I think that'll make that a really great venue for our state championship.
Absolutely. I agree. And it was great. I appreciate Randy Merriman and his staff, the hospitality, because, with our trailer and whatnot and what they do, they're very accommodating. Andrew Kaufman, his first year taking over from Jason West, big shout out. He's the media director there. And so media communications, I think is what his title is. So got to meet him, worked with him. I appreciate all the communication, and it's good, and I appreciate it. And Misha, Doug Fessler was there. Got a chance to talk with Doug quite a bit. I really enjoyed that. Daryl Bradley, all those guys working hard to create the best case scenario, as you said, Kevin, working to make better decisions. And I love that because they take accountability for it, which is, I think, that to me, that's what shows the growth. That's way as leadership for young kids and whatnot. That's the way it is. You know what you do, and you continue to grow to work to get better. And that's what we want to do, as the adults in the room, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
All you can ask.
That's it. And so kudos to Misha and all the folks over there. We appreciate it. I want to say a big shout out to all the extra coaches and whatnot that came over. Aaron Jaworski, who spent some time. Randy came over. All those guys, Kevin, who was on set with us, for coming over and sharing their time, and all the coaches for allowing us to stick a camera and a microphone in your face all weekend. I appreciate you allowing us to capture those moments with your team and these opportunities. We enjoy it very much, and we appreciate it very much. So thank you. Thank you very much. And that's what we want to keep doing. And every year, another one in the books. We're on to summer. Tell the folks what you got going on, Kevin.
Well, we just finished up our Missouri State games yesterday, which is a huge success. We ran that event Monday, Tuesday, so we had 6 games. On Monday, we had our pro-style workout. So picking up the pieces from that, going through a lot of that data, had a lot of individual great performances there, and a lot of that will form our future games team. Have a couple scout days coming up over the next couple weeks. We have our MOCAN, or Kansas City Top Prospect Games, which is basically the same event we just ran in Columbia, but for the state of Kansas and any of the Kansas City area players. So we got a busy couple weeks in front of us still, but have also had a great 10-day run here with the state tournament and the Missouri State game. So summer has started out hot for me.
Very good. Very good. Where can they follow you, buddy?
Prep Baseball Missouri and Prep Baseball Moulder.
There you go. X and IG, correct?
Yes.
Boom. There it is. Folks, thanks for tuning in. We do appreciate it. If you like what we're doing, hit the like button. Share a comment below. Tell us about your experience at the state championships. We do appreciate that. If you want to support us, subscribe. Hit the dinger next to it. It's notifications for upcoming episodes just like this, informative, having some fun, just talking baseball. Until next time, we got a cool thing coming up. We've been invited to come over and live stream the PCDL League. Brett Graves, his great Keep Climbing podcast that's here. Look, if you want to learn something about pitching and development and things like that, Kevin, Brett Graves has his podcast on Youth Baseball Midwest called Keep Climbing. Mr. Graves has spent time in the MLB, talking baseball, talking about his process and the development that he's created and whatnot. Check out Keep Climbing. And we're going to be over live streaming the PCDL Mondays and Tuesdays. So tune in and watch. Check it out. There's going to be a lot of interesting stuff happening over the next few weeks. So we appreciate you supporting Youth Baseball Midwest here on this channel. Everybody have a great day in the Lord, all you pitchers. Kevin.
Keep throwing strikes.
And you hitters, hit them over the fence. We'll see you next time.